Okay, we're live. Welcome to another broadcast of Creek Fishing Adventures channel number 2. I'm still thinking about renaming it to More Creek Fishing Adventures. It may happen, or if I can come up with a better name. I gotta have a cool name before I get to like 5,000 subscribers. I need something, so I gotta do something different with that. But hey, I got Aaron from Aaron's Outdoors going to join us. Also, I gotta recap my tournament. So I did some kayak tournament stuff. But I'll probably talk to Aaron first. But I'm going to recap my tournament. We're going to talk about some different black bass species like Alabama bass and also black bass slam in Georgia. Maybe some black bass species. Maybe you didn't know how many there are in Georgia or in Tennessee or in other places. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I will try to get to them. We'll try to answer questions as we go. Today's Thursday. I wanted to do this on a Tuesday, and I know there's a Tennessee football game on and stuff like that. So I appreciate anybody coming in. And it was a last minute. I was out fishing. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's go ahead and get Aaron on, and we'll talk. And we got some questions to ask him. Aaron, are you on? You're on there. What's
How's
up,
it
Aaron?
going?
Hey, man. I'm glad you I know this was last minute. I got you on here, and you said you were available to do it. And I do a lot of things last minute, so I'm glad I've been wanting to do this. I know. Remember, I told you I wanted to do this like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
that I said like I want to do live streams and like talk to people that I know that I fish with, and it finally has happened. But Aaron, tell us. I know that if you don't know Aaron, he lives in Georgia and he's going to college right now. And first time we fished together was probably 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today. It was, I think it was November 2019, so it's been almost 3 years.
It was
which
cold.
Seems crazy. Like
we tried to catch some creek fish, and it was really bad. But you caught a rock bass. I think I caught like 2 fish.
Yeah, it was 32 degrees in November, and we went creek fishing.
Yeah.
We're going after bass. I mean, I think I caught 1 tiny bass and 2 rock bass. And
that was the first time you ever caught a rock bass.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
So, yeah.
But anyways, if you've got questions, put them in the side. I'll try to get to them. And but real quick, Aaron, tell us about you, how you got started fishing, and then how you got started doing your YouTube channel.
So I started my YouTube channel, I think about the same time John did in summer of 2016. And I'd always enjoyed fishing when I was younger. Like in the summer, I would fish this creek in my neighborhood and do some pond fishing in the summer. But it definitely wasn't a year-round thing. But then the summer before I went to high school, I just started watching YouTube fishing videos again. I actually watched the Guggen Squad back then. I mean, I still watch them sometimes. I just kind of got more into it, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll start my own channel. I've kind of always liked the idea of like filming what I enjoy doing and sharing it with other people.
How old were you when you first started then?
So 2016, I was born in 2001, so I guess that would have been like 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, I might not have been 15 yet. Wait, is that right? 2016. Yeah, my birthday's in September, so I don't even know. I was 14 or 15 when I started, and yeah, I've done it ever since. I did all 4 years in high school, and now I'm in my 3rd year of college. So I've had it for over 6 years now.
Yeah.
But
how do you do it while you're in college? I know you are busy, but do you do anything else in your free time, or you just go fish whenever you got free time?
I will say I probably play a lot more basketball than I do fishing while I'm in school, because it's just easy. Like there's a rec center at my college, and I can just kind of play basketball for like 45 minutes or an hour. There's always people in there playing, so it's kind of nice. Yeah. It's easy to just join a game. But I still try to fish when I can. I've only been fishing twice since school started, like a week and a half ago. And both times I was fishing with a rat lure, actually, in a river. Yeah. I got a few shoal bass on the rat lure, so I was kind of happy with that. But
you're almost to 5,000 subscribers, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm getting close. So I should hit it this month.
Yeah. What were your goals, or did you have goals for your channel? Like, what do you expect of it? Or I know you kind of did it off and on for a while, but you've been posting pretty regularly for a couple of years at least.
Yeah, I mean, this year, as school's gotten harder, I've kind of just recognized, like, I'm just going to make videos when I can. Used to, I was like, I really tried to do either twice a week during the summer and once a week during the school year. But now I just recognize that I'm really busy, so I'm kind of just going to put out videos when I can. I still will try to put out at least one video a week, but that may be kind of challenging depending on how busy school is. But
and I know because we both have the same passion for like streams and creeks and rivers. What is it about? Like you have your little boat, and y'all got your dad's got a boat and stuff. Like, but you don't make a lot of boat fishing videos. Like, what is it about? Going out at a stream or wading, like you do a lot. Why do you do most of those type of videos? What is it about that?
I don't know. I mean, in the summer, like I feel like it's just so much more pleasant to like be wading in a stream when it's super hot outside, instead of like baking in a bass boat when it's like in the middle of the lake. I mean, nonetheless, like I still enjoy fishing lakes and stuff, and I mean, just like you do, when it gets colder, I'll probably be fishing lakes more, like come around October, November. But I've always just enjoyed it more, and I feel like fish are just more active. Like you don't have to really find the fish as much. Like a lake can be very challenging because, if you can't find the fish, you could have a pretty rough day. But creeks, I feel like creeks and rivers are more predictable. And if I'm going to be fishing for a shorter amount of time, a lot of the time it's more likely like I'll at least catch something.
That's what I always say. I'm like,
yeah.
For me, I don't always want to go out and fish for 4 or 5 hours. And you know how it is on lakes and stuff. Like it can take that to figure out the fish.
Yeah.
Or, you get a couple here, a couple there. In a creek, if you can't catch fish in 2 hours, then there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch something. And especially if you have some places where you know to go. Like it may be harder than other times, but it is definitely like a more laid back feeling to it also. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I was like, all the guys that I know that are really like big into like streams and creeks, like what is it about it? But also something about moving water. It's just more, it's more exciting. Like, there's fish in there, but you don't know what sometimes.
Yeah. I also just enjoy I enjoy the adventure too. Just exploring new places. I mean, kind of like you, like exploring new places is definitely one of my favorite things. Like if it pans out and it's a good day of fishing, that's like my ideal day of fishing, like finding a new place, catching fish, and just having a fun time doing it. So
I think you need to look into kayak tournaments now.
You're making me want to do a tournament. Like,
dude, I meant to give a recap. So let me give a recap of my tournament. So I just did a tournament 2 weeks ago, and then that was like a small one. And then I just did one. It was a state tournament. It was 107 anglers. It was on Chickamauga Lake. 107 other kayakers that are like good kayakers from all over the state, and tons of them from like that fish Chickamauga all the time. So I got 6 out of 107, which like blew my mind.
Yeah, I saw that.
I just started on the video. It's gonna take me a while to edit it. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I caught a decent amount of fish the first day, and it's 8.5 hours both days. So you get 8.5 hours of fish. And the second day, I only had 3 fish with like 6 hours of fishing, and I could not catch 2 more. I needed 2 more 12 inchers to make 5. It has to be 5 fish over 12 inches. And I went way up this little creek, like a mile up it, where like nobody goes. And there was these fish they were holding. It's this long, long creek that runs into the lake. And they were holding almost at the last, or at the first shoal. You know how you go up a creek on a lake, and then it finally gets to like the creek part where it's flowing water, or it's like a gravel bar. They were like all the way up there at the first like gravel bar, and if they're up there, they're hungry because they're in that current looking to eat. And I caught 2 15.5 inchers. If I hadn't caught those, and if I couldn't catch the limit, I would have been like 40th. So I went from 40th to 6th just to get those fish.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I still don't enjoy going out all day fishing on a lake for fun. Like I'll do it for a few hours or do something if I'm exploring, but like it's a grind. But when you put it in a tournament mode and you're fishing against, and you got that competition, and you're just trying to, figure it out, try to beat the guy, because everybody's fishing the same day, and there's guys that go out there and just kill it, but that day they might not be doing good. And there were so many guys that are like really good fishermen that didn't even catch a limit in one of the 2 days. Like they couldn't catch 5 fish over 12 inches. And that's what's amazing about fishing. And if you can just figure out how to catch them, like I was way off from the leader. Like the leader had Jordan Marshall. He fishes in the. I've known him from fishing in the league that I fish in, but he killed it. He had I don't remember what it was, 180 something inches, and I finished with 162
Oh, wow.
from first to sixth. And then, but like that's how many difference. Like that's so many more bigger fish. Like there's no. I was way away from, but you don't have to always in the tournament stuff. That's what's fun about tournaments that I like. If you're just consistent, you can place. And I made like $470. I get to fish in a national tournament in March. There's going to be it's Bass, the Bass Nation, the BASS. I can't remember which one. If it's Bassmaster, it's not Bassmaster. It's Bass Nation, whatever it is. And they have a tournament in a national tournament. It's going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee this year. So in March of 2023, and I get to go fish in that. So
that's awesome.
It's like
that's cool.
Like a couple of years ago when I first the first tournament I ever been to, like I didn't know that there even was like state tournaments or national tournaments, and now I've gotten into this whole new world that's just like it keeps pulling me in. It's just exciting, and it's just more and more. So, anyways, that's my little recap, and I also I got another guy I fished with, Alex Rudd. He just got a Shoaly kayak.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I watched your video last night, and his was like under it. I almost clicked on it, but
yeah, I asked him about it. He said it's different. He's like he thought it was more shaky than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So now that you've had yours a little while, give me a little review of your Shoaly kayak, and just tell people what it is real quick.
Yeah. So Crescent Kayaks is a company out of Georgia. And they make like their motto is like live in the current. So it's kind of kayaks that are maybe a little bit more geared towards like river fishing. And since I primarily, use my kayak in rivers, I kind of wanted a nice river kayak. Cause I've got my little Pelican Bass Raider, which is just like a little 10-foot boat I can put my trolling motor on, which is really stable and is kind of a good option for fishing lakes. So I kind of wanted like a nice kayak that wasn't a pedal drive. Like I would love to have a pedal drive one day, but I think that'll be sometime in the future. But so the Crescent Kayak Shoaly, I mean, it's their first like specialized fishing kayak that they came out with, and it's kind of more geared towards rivers. And like you said, it is like I can stand up in it, but it's like a little shaky. But I don't feel like I'm gonna like fall in or something. So. I don't know. So far, I'm definitely pleased with it. I honestly haven't used it too much. I used it on the Ocoee River with you, the Savannah River with you, and then I can't remember. I've used it a couple other times, but now that I'm back in school, I just haven't been able to use it as much. But
how do you like the room on it? Does it feel real roomy and like
it does? It does for the most part. I think you mentioned like the back behind the seat is a little bit smaller, but besides that, I mean. I really like in the front, it's got like a real big compartment you can open, which that actually opens up to a little tray. I mean, I know some of the bona fide kayaks, like Marshall was saying when we fished with him, it just opens up to the kayak and he's like, I can fit like 20 rods in there. I kind of like that they had like 2 rod holders in the kayak, but I can actually only fit 2 bait casting rods. Like the holes are too small to fit a spinning rod. So I was a little bit bummed about that, but I think some people.
Yeah, remember we saw that.
I think some people have cut out the tray. There's probably a way I could customize it to like have the tray removable and put it in and out. So that might be something I could do.
Yeah, I know. I actually Tuesday I got to go with a guy I met, Charles, in the tournament, and he let me use one of his Hobie PA12s, and he's got it like set up like graph. Everything, set up nice. And we went out and fished below Watts Bar Dam and caught some white bass, caught a couple other fish. It wasn't as great, but there was like fish busting and stuff. But I got to try out a Hobie that I've been wanting to try one of that. I've been trying to decide if I want to buy one of those as I get more into tournament fishing. This got a lot more room. I love the room, like it's the surface area in the front. Like that's a big thing. The pedaling was a little bit different than my old town. But I'm so comfortable with my old town. It's like I know what it is. And, I've had it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And you got to try. I forgot. Next time you come down, or if you can come down soon. And now I got 2 old towns.
Oh
you can use one of them. And I'd love to get you in it to try it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And do that. But we was it like a month ago now, we went down the Savannah River with Blake
3 other
and
Marshall, Georgia
Marshall
Bassmaster, and Austin from
Austin.
Firebird
Yeah, I think his name. And we me and Aaron probably did the worst fishing. But we caught fish though. You know, like it wasn't like we didn't catch anything. We caught fish, and I got to catch which bass was it? Bartram's bass.
Yeah, Bartram's bass.
So that was my first Bartram's bass. I'm pretty sure I may have caught him before, but I don't know if I have or not. But definitely my first one for the year. So that makes me 4 black bass species. I got a shoal bass, I got spotted bass, Bartram's bass, and I got a smallmouth, all out of Tennessee. I need one more for a black bass
out of Georgia, but
out of Georgia. Yeah, not Tennessee. Yeah. I need one more for a black bass slam. And but Aaron's already conquered that. So tell us about the black bass slam they have going on in Georgia, and then you can tell us about the South Carolina one.
Yeah, so Georgia, the Georgia DNR calls Georgia the black bass capital of the world because there's 10 different species of black bass in Georgia, which is pretty cool. I mean, like South Carolina has like 4. So there's a lot of diversity here. And if you go to like the Bass Slam website, you can see all 10 species. But basically, if you catch 5 of the 10 species and they're all at least 8 inches or a keeper out of the body of water you caught them in, then you get a little certificate, like the Bass Slam certificate. So here's my little
go ahead and show it off.
2021 certificate. But once you figure them out, like the first year is the hardest, and it's really not that hard to get 5 out of 10 the next year. I know some people have really tried to get 10 out of 10. I think Marshall from Georgia Bassmaster and Austin from Firebird Austin have both like already caught 10 this year. So, I mean, it just kind of requires a lot of traveling. Like I know places to catch most of them, but it's definitely a big commitment to just drive to all those places.
Like you said, once you've gone to places where you know they are, you can mark that spot and be like, okay, these are a couple streams I can go to. And almost all the red eye bass, they all live in like small streams. I mean, I was surprised there were so many of the Bartrams in that big river. That's not like
I was surprised too. I thought it was
way they're like that.
Smallmouth.
Yeah. So they really do well there. But then again, I went to I edited it today. The video. I just went back to the Conasauga. It was a week or 2 ago. It wasn't too long, and I went to a new spot that I haven't fished really, and it's a bigger area. And I caught a nice spotted bass, but the Coosa bass were really big in that area. They were like 10, 11 inches long, and like thick around. I weighed one of them just to weigh it. It was 10 ounces.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest one. That's the biggest one I've weighed.
Like people don't realize that's for a Coosa bass. That's a big one for those. But I thought about it and I was like, this is probably the biggest you're gonna find is in that area. But I don't know. They're definitely weird. And
I know some people, like I think the Tennessee state record for a red eye like Coosa bass is 1 pound 15 ounces, and I'm willing to bet that based off what these scientists say, like that was probably a hybrid that made it bigger.
I thought about that. That was in 1990 or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long
and
time
it was
ago.
Out of Parksville Lake.
Yeah.
So
and like you're not going to catch one out of. I don't think they're even native to.
Think about think about how different Parksville was back then.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good transition to Alabama bass. So I don't know. I haven't been here this long. Ever since I've been here, the lake's been about the same. But supposedly, long time ago, there used to be nothing in Parksville. Like all the runoff from the mining, or from the whatever they do up in McKaysville area, everything running there like killed everything in Parksville. There was like nothing in it, like in the 50s and stuff. And then I guess things start coming back in there, but now it's like full of the Alabama spotted bass, and that must have been last 10 or 15 years. But so I know one thing about it. So you know how you can catch smallmouth out of the middle of Coe, like where they do the whitewater rafting. Mm-hmm. They've taken fish out of there and they've tested them, and the one bass has had 4 species of black bass in it. Has a smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass, and Coosa bass. So they found like the genetic or the whatever it's called, genes or whatever of all 4 of those. So there definitely used to be Coosa bass.
Yeah.
In Parksville. Like
which
I don't
is
know,
weird because
I don't know where. Yeah, I don't.
They're not native because that's the Tennessee River drainage, which I think the only native ones are. I mean, I know
So,
smallmouth and largemouth.
well, even like Mouse
Um,
Creek is not native, also though.
yeah.
So even though it runs a different way. So I think that it was in the 80s whenever they stocked Coosa bass in a lot of places. They stocked them
Oh,
throughout
okay. They
East
stocked them.
Tennessee.
Okay.
So yeah, they definitely put them in East Tennessee. There's actually a decent population of Coosa bass in Middle Tennessee, Upper Middle
Oh,
Tennessee that
okay.
some people don't want to talk about. But
Yeah.
people catch them up there and they think they're smallmouth. But there's actually some good sized ones up there. I've caught a few, and I know guys I've caught some big ones. So and there's some in Kentucky. There's all over. So they put them. I'm thinking they stocked them in Parksville Lake or maybe the creeks that run into Parksville Lake. And somehow they either, like you said, they crossbred or they just grew really big, like some kind of crazy thing. And we'll never know because they didn't do testing like they do now.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's a question for you from river rat fishing. Which do you like better, creek or river fishing? Or is there a difference? I guess it depends on what you classify.
I don't know. I mean, like, it really just depends on the size of the stream, I guess, is whether it's creek or river. Maybe creek fishing or like smaller river fishing. Like when we were fishing the Savannah River, I mean, that was so giant that you kind of had to figure out where the fish were. I mean, I had a bad day of fishing the second day.
It was a little weird. It was a different.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I thought. I didn't think it was going to be
Yeah.
near that big.
Yeah, but I feel like almost like a lake, like they had a lot of area to just space out in. I mean, whereas like a smaller creek is just I feel like it's more predictable if it's smaller because you just know where this fish are going to be. Like if there's one small deep hole that's like right next to some fast current or something, like, oh, there's probably going to be a bass or two like right there.
Yeah.
So maybe smaller rivers and creeks.
There's definitely a size where like you can look at a stream and you're like you get excited because it's big, but it's little, but it's like it's big enough to cast across the whole thing, but it's not too small where you think that the fish aren't going to get that big. So it's like there's some smallmouth streams in Tennessee that I fished that I'm like they have just the right deep holes, but they're just small enough where kayaking would be you wouldn't do good kayaking because you'd pass the deep holes too fast. But if you weighted it, you're going to be able to catch some really big fish.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'll do. Like people ask you, ask me all the time, like, well, how do you know what a stream that's good is? I don't know, but like there's something that you look at, especially if it's broken up in like in pockets and shoals and like different holes.
Yeah.
The fish through there, I don't know why, but maybe they just find better holes. There seems to be more fish through those areas, and they have, especially when they're like divided in like little, like different shoals and stuff. But interesting fact: the bass are actually sunfish. Yeah, they're in the sunfish family. Fishing all kinds of different fish are different from what we think they are. Somebody asked a question. Yeah, what's your go-to bait?
Me?
Yeah. Can't say Chapo.
So my go-to bait, I mean, in the summer when I'm fishing creeks and rivers, I love the Chapo because it's like a topwater lure. If you don't know what it is, it's like the Whopper Plopper. It's a little bit louder though, which is why I like it better. But it's just so easy to cover a lot of water. And for the most part, in the summer, those fish are going to be active enough to hit the Chapo, even if it's like the middle of the day. I mean, it kind of depends on when you're fishing, but the part of Georgia I live in, like I'm in the mountains, it's definitely colder water. So they'll hit that throughout the day. Another lure that I like a lot for creeks and rivers, like bass fishing, is the Craw Poppy in the 2.75 inch size. It's just a tiny little crawfish. Most brands will go down to like 3 inch, but that 2.75 inch, it's a little smaller. And I feel like pretty much any size bass can eat that. I've caught some good ones. Like, I don't know, maybe the biggest fish I've caught on it was like 3 pounds. So maybe not quite as big as all the giants that John has caught on the Yum Dinger, but I have caught.
That's just happened recently. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I've caught 2 spotted bass over 5 pounds this year. Like, that's something I didn't know if I'd ever do that. Like, ever catch one over 5 pounds. I know people catch them, and it's crazy. Is I caught them both out of rivers, like river systems where usually you're going to catch those bigger ones in the lakes. But let's go back to spotted bass. So I want to cover this for a little bit. What's up, Matt? I know Matt. Yeah, Matt can do some. He likes some creek and river fishing, especially wading. And so Alabama spotted bass are now they're calling them. So what have you heard them called now? Are people calling them Alabama bass yet? Like I'm starting to hear people refer to them straight as just Alabama bass now. It's like it's starting to get that way.
That's definitely more common, but in reality, I feel like the vast majority of bass fishermen, definitely the majority of bass fishermen in Georgia probably don't even know there's more than like 3 black bass species. But still, so the people who are more familiar with the different black bass species, I think more of them have been calling spotted bass Alabama bass or Alabama spotted bass Alabama bass. I always just call them spotted bass in my videos. I know that there's a channel, Shoal Bandit. He his channel is all about catching different black bass species, and he always calls them Alabama bass. And if you want to learn more about the different black bass species, that's definitely a good. He talks a lot in his videos, but he also he catches a lot of fish
super well. Like at the beginning,
yeah. He's an older gentleman that he's definitely fished a lot of places in Georgia, and he knows where to catch all these species. I mean, he'll go to some creek or river and catch a ton of Chattahoochee bass, which is that's super rare. Those fish are very rare. But
yeah, Shoal Bandit is a good channel. It's very informative if you're especially if you're trying to get into learning the different black bass species in Georgia.
And just learning where those different species are. He really talks about the different river drainages. So to find them, you really just got to know what river drainage fish are.
So the Alabama bass is which I didn't know how to tell the difference between a spotted bass and a largemouth bass till 4 years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, where I'm I would catch one and I'm I don't know if this is what this is. Now I can see in the water, and before they come up, you know what they are, because it's like when they train people, or this is what I used to hear anyways. When they train people to catch counterfeit money, they show them real money and never show them fake money. So when they see fake money, they know it's different. When you see these fish all the time, you can see boom, there's something different about that fish. There's something different about that fish. And so Alabama, they're spotted bass. Now Tennessee has classified as, we got Alabama spotted bass and Kentucky spotted bass. And most people call, I didn't realize this, but people in Missouri and Arkansas and Kentucky and stuff, they just call them Kentuckys for Kentucky spotted bass.
Oh, really?
They just call them Kentuckys or Kentucky bass. And I'm that's funny. But so I'm kind of thinking, well, might as well just call these Alabama bass and stuff. But anyway, so Alabama spotted bass are different than Kentucky spotted bass, and Alabama spotted bass have gotten into areas where they're not native to, and they kind of have taken over the habitat. Especially around me here in Southeast Tennessee, they're all over some of my rivers and lakes, and they're getting into Georgia. There's some lakes where there used to be smallmouth fishing that there's not really. In North Carolina, they're getting that way. There's some lakes where there used to be smallmouth, that they really push the smallmouth out. They interbreed with smallmouth, and they just kind of take over everything, and even push the largemouth out. And then they kind of really just grow and populate. But if you're talking about trying to catch fish, dude, Alabama spotted bass are so aggressive, and they get big in streams. They get big in creeks and rivers where largemouth don't. They get big in moving water like shoal bass. If anybody's familiar with shoal bass, which probably even less people are, but dude, I caught them in my tournament, and because they're really big here, our state record is 7 pounds. I think it's going to get broken again. I've talked to some other guys, and we think the same thing. We think it's just going to get broken out of Parksville again. There could be a 7.5 pounder or something.
Yeah.
Because they're just getting bigger. They're just taking over. I think people are also taking out fish, which they encourage you to do. But I think that's making the bigger ones just get bigger. So it's probably a best case scenario for spotted bass. They're just growing and getting giant. They love current. They love colder water. They love just top water. They're so fun to fish for. So the people give them they are a problem. But if you're going creek fishing or river fishing, it's about one of the best fish you can catch. And I know you caught some recently. Yeah. And so let me hear your take on them.
So I get comments where certain people will tell me if you're fishing a river drainage they're not native to, you bet like throw them out. And like
Yep.
I've gotten super long Instagram DMs of this guy explaining why I should throw them out. And I mean, I do like catching the native shoal bass right where I live. And there's a bunch of spotted bass too that are kind of out competing some of the shoal bass. But it really depends. Like I do throw out some, I let some go. It just kind of depends. But I feel like if you're fishing somewhere like the Ocoee River in Tennessee, I mean, it has been like pretty much, well, I guess below Parksville Lake, if you're fishing the Ocoee River, there's like all spotted bass. I mean, like if you throw a spotted bass out, like there's not going to be a smallmouth that magically appears and takes the place of it. So,
you would have to wipe it out and start over. There's no.
I feel like if there's not a substantial population of the native species, then there's really no point in taking out the Alabama spotted bass. So like a river that I fish a lot has a lot of shoal bass and a significant portion of spotted bass. I'll throw the spotted bass out. Whereas a creek I fish a lot, I mean, I pretty much only catch spotted bass out of, even though shoal bass are native. So unless the DNR decided to stock a bunch of shoal bass in that creek, there's really no point in taking the spotted bass out because, I mean, theoretically they could swim up the river or up the creek from the river, but it's just not enough. Like if the DNR needs to do something in that case, like stocking a ton of shoal bass for anything to happen. But
I know I've thought a lot about it, and they're definitely fun. Like I'm not gonna say they're not fun to catch, or even if they're not supposed to be there, they're still super fun. It's like people like snakehead. Like when snakehead was a big deal, people were like, I remember like 10 years ago, people were like talking about snakehead in certain places, like they're gonna get everywhere and take over the whole world. And now people love catching them, wherever they're, Virginia and out First State Fishing catches them, stuff like that. But like spots, that's the thing though. They have proven to displace a lot of other fish. Just see, the thing is they're in lower Ocoee, which is a direct line to Chickamauga Lake, like Chickamauga. Like you would think they would like have taken over by now, but I think it's something about the mountain streams. That's where they really like to live. And like, I don't know, but they keep, I've heard recently where like think about them getting up into the Susquehanna or like over in Dale Hollow, like the Cumberland River system and stuff. Like what if Dale Hollow was like, in 10 years, like you just didn't catch smallmouth there. That would just like ruin that whole, like that's what it's known for. But I think like as a fisherman, like if you're out fishing and you catch one, I don't think you're going to make a difference.
Yeah.
you throw a fish out, that's one of 100 that are in a half-mile stretch.
And some of these people that DM me are like, they say I'm like contributing to the problem by not taking out every bass. It's like, that's just kind of not really. Like there's so many fish that are already there.
It's always fun that people like they pick something to really get on to about. Like they're gonna, but like go find something else that's if you're really gonna whine and complain and like about that or about something, go find something a little bit more important to really like give somebody a hard time about. Don't do it about fishing. Be like, hey, this is what I think you should do, but do what you want. Like if you weren't fishing, if you weren't fishing, you can't take any out. Just because you're fishing doesn't mean
I know. Like I've taken some out. Like the fact that I've taken at least one out, which I've taken a lot more than one out, means I've helped it. Like I'm not.
I know it does. I'm glad when you explain it when you do, because like especially in the shoal bass area, I could see that. Like that's because shoal bass, there's a lot of the shoal bass in those streams where they probably should take it out. But anyway, it's an interesting thing, and I wanted to bring it up just to keep people's minds because. We're in this day and age. There's so many species in different places where they shouldn't be, like mussels and all the Asian carp and and then all the. I mean, but basically half the fish in our waterways are not native. But that doesn't mean they're invasive? Is that the other word? Yeah. So they're not native, but like people used to think you should get rid of carp. Like common carp, they're not native, but they've adapted and they're naturalized now, or whatever it's called. But anyways, I just think if you ever do catch Alabama spotted bass, it's definitely one of the most fun fish to fish for.
Yeah.
They get big, they're aggressive, they're super strong. Like
But so are shoal bass. That's why.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Shoal bass are a whole nother level. But they're in a lot smaller area. Like Alabama bass have gotten all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, shoal bass. I wish they were more places. Like that would be, and they really love the current.
Yeah.
I don't think they can ever get rid of them. Like because they live in such strong current places where they what is it? They like have their beds and they like lay eggs in super strong current where other fish won't do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
So we did have a couple questions. One person asked,
go ahead.
So the spotted bass are eating the smallies or just out competing them. I find that hard to believe. Smallies are ruthless. So I think the main reason the smallies are getting out competed is just spotted bass grow faster. Like they're not like eating the smallmouth, but
the spotted bass are mixing with the
also
with the smallmouth. So they're hybridizing and then they're breeding out to Alabama bass. So Alabama bass are in there just mating with smallmouth like crazy, and they kind of do it at the same time and everything. They're and they grow so much faster, and they're just gonna get bigger, and next thing you know, you just like the smallmouths just kind of get further and further away. And plus, then they're all crossbreeding, and I catch them all the time around me. I catch hybrids all the time, where you'll catch one, and you're like, it looks like a smallmouth, looks like a spot, and then they just and a lot of them, and it's hard to say what percentage it is, but that's they just kind of get more and more that way. But people talking about trout. I don't care about trout.
Somebody asked, how do you tell the difference between the spotted and the largemouth?
You want to go?
Do you want to go?
All right. So spot. There's a lot of difference. Mainly when you get so used to seeing them, I can look at one pretty much and tell. Spotted bass are like it's like bolder color. So they got a bigger stripe. They're bolder. They got like a blotchy on top. But you can feel on their tooth patch is in their mouth. Like in their mouth, there's like a little patch that sticks up like a little sticker, and you can just feel that. If you feel that, it's not a largemouth. I think smallmouth can have that.
I feel like a lot of people, they always say the tooth patch, but I mean, for like John and I have caught so many, it's just really easy to tell.
I also can look at the easiest way to looking at them, I think, is their fins. So a largemouth back has a notch all the way down. It's got the first fin, and then that second fin, or is it a fin? Yeah, the top fin, whatever.
Yeah.
Spots won't go all the way down to the bottom. That notch is not all the way to the bottom. No. It's about that much. So you'll see that kind of like a smallmouth or a Coosa bass has, but largemouth have it real all the way down, then back up.
Yeah, and also sometimes they'll have like kind of those horizontal lines under the lateral line. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, like little like spot, little
it's kind of like dotted lines.
Yeah. Like a Coosa bass has too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's one of those things. You see them, then you look at one and you're just like, oh, that's different. But yeah, if you're not used to it, if you catch it took me quite a while. I would catch one here and there, and I didn't know, but it's just they're I know that people just say go by their jawline. I think that's the hardest way to look at one.
Yeah, that's like
their jaw. The spotted bass have a smaller jawline. It goes before their eye. Largemouth is like behind their eye, like that where the jaw actually hinges. But a lot of times when you're catching little ones, you can't tell all those things as well. But when you see the difference in the color, and then sometimes though you catch them in muddy water and they look different too. So it can be a little confusing. It's just once you've done it a lot, it gets easy.
Yeah.
I still have trouble telling apart other different fish because I don't catch them like shiners. Like I can't tell what kind, like a common shiner, striped shiner, or this kind. There's a lot of different ones of those. It'd be hard to look some of the if I didn't know where I was fishing, like some of the red eye bass, I wouldn't probably. I wouldn't know.
Like a Tallapoosa bass looks really similar to a Coosa bass. it's basically just like if you're fishing the Tallapoosa River, that's a Tallapoosa bass.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're fishing
why.
the Coosa River drainage, it's a Coosa bass. But
Isn't it crazy though? And like I didn't even realize till like was it this year or last year? I just learned about the 3 species of smallmouth bass: northern strains, what the southern, and then the Neosha.
Yeah, Neoshi or something. Yeah.
And it's kind of like the different red eye species. Like as my theory is after the flood, when everything came back down, all these bass just like they hit different spots, and then over time they just changed a little bit to be, and that's what I mean. That happens. That's what's that called? It's not called what's the word for that? Where things change and adapt. It's some kind of evolution. It's called something evolution. Like it happens where it doesn't like evolve into a different species, but it evolves to adapt to its area, stuff like that. But war paint shiners, those are really cool. That we have those around. I mean, they're Koei. I see them every once in a while, but they love that. They stay up in the like rapids and cold water. But they are really you know a war paint shiner when you catch one. Have you ever caught those, Aaron? Have you ever seen those?
I don't think so.
They're real small, and they got like a really bright stripe on their like gill, or like I think it's their gill. And
I'm looking up a picture.
you have to really you have to get really downsized to catch those. They're really small.
Yeah.
But all right, I got another question for you. Unless you haven't seen another one, I got to get a couple more questions in because we're already getting close to 9 o'clock. So we're going to try to stop. What was my other question I had? Hold on. YouTube. Let's go back to YouTube real quick because this is how I learned. I ask other YouTubers. So I've been able to fish with lots and lots and meet lots of YouTubers now. And I don't care if you have 100 subscribers. And I fish with guys that got, way more subscribers than me, 500,000 subscribers. You can learn from everybody. And everybody has different channels. Everybody has different take on it. Everybody has different things. So what are some things that from starting YouTube, that some things that you've been surprised or something you enjoy that you've gotten out of it? And then some things that you don't enjoy so much or wish maybe something had happened. I don't know. Just give me some goods and bads on it.
One thing I think is cool is like I've just filmed pretty much every time we go fishing, and if I want to like tell someone a story about a day of fishing, I can literally just search it on my phone and show them like exactly what happened, and it's just kind of cool. Like sometimes, like even just watching a video from like 3 years ago, just kind of reliving the memory a little bit. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, and that's like at the very least, like sometimes you have a really good month where you have a bunch of subscribers, and then you'll have a bad month, and it's kind of like, oh man, like I did all this work and I didn't get that many subscribers. And same with the videos. I mean, like I had like 3 videos in a row that had like 300 views, which is kind of bad. And then I had my latest one is like 2,500. It's just kind of like the jump up and down. It's like, it's always encouraging when you have a really good video, and then kind of the opposite when you have a not so good video. But,
yeah, that part never stops, no matter how many.
Yeah, there's always going to be ups and downs. Like there's going to be good videos, there's going to be bad videos.
I was watching somebody, and they're like, if my videos get less than 1 million views, that's a bad video. So it's all relevant to, who you are and where you're at. But it's crazy that it's still crazy that we can just put videos out there and people watch them.
Yeah,
that anybody wants to watch them, especially with all the stuff going on. There's so much content out there to watch and everything. But anyway, answer this question. Do you know what the total of all the black bass species are? Because I think Georgia's got 10, Alabama's got 9. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, I think there's got to be some overlap.
They're not. They're the same. But I'm just talking about like as far as statewide.
Yeah.
But Georgia,
I know, like an Instagram
like 15
account
or 16.
Yeah, something like that. I know Hank's Fish Art did a poster. He's some guy that knows a lot about.
Is that what you're telling me? The one that has all of it? Does have all of them on there?
I'm looking
at Hank's
Fish Art.
The thing is, like, they just separated the. A lot of times that like the Alabama and the Kentucky spots, like I said, they just became new. They're probably going to keep dividing up species and doing different things.
Yeah.
And telling and obviously learning like, oh, these species are actually different. even though they look really similar.
Oh wow! So the Hank's Fish Art forms of the black bass poster. You can just Google it. It looks like it has 19 different ones. He has them listed on there. That's a lot.
Man. And
Yeah,
then
if you
probably,
look up-
I wonder what that was like 20 years ago, how many there were.
Yeah. And I don't know if all of these are like officially recognized or not. I'm not totally sure how that works, but yeah, there's 19 on here.
Huh. They're gonna have to do like a national black bass slam. Like go get all of them. That would be a. Somebody asked me. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's the different types of like black bass species, and there's also like someone was just asking about white bass. That's like a different type of, like a different family or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what white bass are like. I don't really know families anymore because everything that you think you knew from when you were a kid is a lie.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Like everything that I thought I knew about fish and about what species is what and what's called what, it's all where you live. But every region calls fish different things.
Yeah.
And that's where I try to go by the correct term for a fish, so I don't confuse people.
Yeah, like red-eye bass and rock bass. Yeah. So many people. I mean, rock bass have a really distinct red eye, so a lot of people call that.
And they've been called red-eye bass forever, probably.
Yeah.
But that's just a nickname. Rock bass is their true name. Oh, I caught a shadow bass from the Dakota Saga when I went a couple days ago. It was really cool. I'm like 99% sure it's shadow bass. I forgot to look it up. Like
I'm pretty sure. I feel like you've caught one before, like in your videos.
Yeah, I've caught one at one point. I mean, I know I've caught one or two at least before, but they're just kind of.
It is a rare,
cool.
Cool, like rare fish.
But the more I learned about them, there are a lot of places I didn't know they were. But anyways, it was definitely like it looks a little different. And did you know that the rock bass in Arkansas aren't rock bass? They're also a different species. They're called Ozark bass. So they're totally like their smallmouth, their rock bass are different species than ours, even though they're like all identical. How does that even work? How is that even possible? Like all these fish are like the exact same. Like a Kentucky bass and Alabama bass, they are like they say they're way different, but everything about them is almost identical.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer this one here. Nature Warrior Adventures. What's the best setup for creek fishing? I love questions like that because it's like I need to know what you want to fish for. And when you say creek fishing, I got 10 different rods that I like for creek fishing, and everyone's for like different lures. What kind of creek fishing do I want to do? There's creek fishing where you fish for multi-species, fishing for bluegill, fishing for panfish. I got one that's set up just for bass fishing. So it's whatever you want. Like if you want to go multi-species, ultralight works great. 6 foot ultralight, 4-pound line. You can use Aaron. You've been in some tight creeks with a 7 foot heavy or medium heavy rod. Yeah, and it depends on what you fish for. Like the creeks, some of the creeks we fish have just as big as bass as I'm going to catch in a lake. Yeah. And plus, they're in current. Plus, they're in a tight situation where you might need more. So it really varies. But I have made some videos on here about getting into ultralight fishing and also about my favorite creek bass rod. So that's some of the things I'm doing in my second channel is making videos on like stuff like that I get asked questions about. Also got a video on here about do I buy fishing licenses and how I fish the Yumdinger, how I fish the Nico Helgramite. Yeah. You need to make one just breaking down like the Chapo and how you fish it, and because you catch a lot of fish on it. Yeah. That would be an interesting one. So if somebody looks it up. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get close to the end here. Aaron, do you have any questions before I ask you one of my final questions?
I don't think I have any questions.
What did you answer both the good and bad problems of YouTube?
Oh, did I?
You said it's ups and downs,
said,
but
yeah, I guess
what's something you got out of it that you never would have expected to get out of it? Like maybe it led you to something. Maybe you learned something.
Something I didn't expect to get out of it was like, I mean, the reality is, if you make fishing YouTube videos, like there are gonna be people who figure out where you're fishing, and some of those people are going to fish there, which is like some people have different opinions about that. Like, people in your local area may be annoyed that you're, kind of showing off those spots, which I'll only say names of places that are like pretty big because I know there's already a certain amount of people that know where I'm fishing and will fish there. But one thing I didn't expect to get out of YouTube is, every once in a while on Instagram, I'll have somebody like DM me and they'll be like, you should try this spot. It's good for this. So, there's probably more people that are fishing the spots I am than, spots I figure out. But it is kind of cool that some people will be willing to like share a spot with me. So,
yeah, I think that's really cool. I get that a lot. I wish I could go to every place that people suggest and do all that. Somebody invited me, like this guy's invited us to do there's a tournament. Somebody invited me to another tournament. People invited me to like stay at their house. Those are the ones I kind of feel weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
and I get asked to go fishing a lot, like all the time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to go fish with somebody new the first time. It takes a while. It takes a little bit to get to that point. It took a little while for me and you to go fishing, I think. And then once you finally did, once you kind of do, you get to know people. But then once you get to a certain point, you have a bunch of people you fish with. It's hard to keep adding people into it. So
you got a bunch of people. So yeah,
I fish with a lot. Like I hopefully I show that I try to fish with a lot of people because
you definitely do. Like
I think some people
some people don't realize like how many. Some people just don't realize how much work it is. Like, well, I don't know. Like in your latest video, it was your tournament video. Someone's like, good job at work or something, if you even call that work, which is like, I was tempted to respond to that, but like, obviously it's fun, like to fish a lot, but I don't think people realize how long it takes to make these videos. And like a month ago, after your Michigan trip, you had 5 videos in a week that you posted, which is like that, the amount of hours of editing that like people don't realize, like people just don't realize unless they've made a YouTube channel. And it's also just YouTube fishing videos. Like we're pretty much filming continuously. So we have like however many hours of footage to go through for each video. I don't even know how John posts as many videos as he does.
Dude,
but it's not like a walk in the park.
This is all I do. Literally, I do this to go to church, and that's it. I fish, and like you said, every time we go out fishing, we got a camera on, and I enjoy it. I enjoy going out fishing, and that's something I even do. Like, today I went out. I fished for like 2 hours today with this little bitty frog, and just to try something fun. Filmed it. Yeah. I'll probably make a video on it. And then I have the ones like this tournament. I fished 16 hours in 2 days.
That's gonna take forever.
And I'm gonna try to make one video out of it because I don't want it to be like I don't know, drag it out. But it'll slow down the winter, and especially when I start coaching basketball and stuff. But that makes it actually harder though. I got to really go out and fish more because it gets harder in the wintertime. So the winter it slows down, but you got to like work a lot more for those videos. But here's a good one. Does it rub you the wrong way when someone recognizes you while you're fishing and stops to talk to you while you're filming a video? 100% no. I could care. I love when people talk to me. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you recognize me or not. Most people that fish aren't going to get upset if somebody comes up and talks to them about fishing. Like it can happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. But most time people are fishing they just enjoy fishing. And whether it's fishing or talking about fishing, you're still enjoying it. It's still fun. There was a guy at the boat ramp when I put in for the tournament. What was it? Last 2 weeks ago, talked to him for like 5 minutes. Like I didn't care. Like I was getting ready to go fish a tournament, but I wasn't so preoccupied where I'm like, I can't talk to this guy. And I told him a couple places to go. I was like, and that's the thing. Like I get asked a lot about where to go. I'm not going to just tell you. I don't know who you are on YouTube, but if I run into people, I'll give you all kinds of information and tell you places I try and go like that. But that's so just because I post videos on YouTube,
one annoying thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing about YouTube, but like the people that expect you to tell them where you are fishing in a video, like we're not obligated.
Why is it an expectation? Yeah.
Like the fact is, I made this video. I know some people are going to use Google Maps. I mean, because I've done it before. I've watched a YouTube video. I've used Google Maps, and I've figured out where people have fished. And I've gone there before. And I know that people who watch me do that. So if I also say the name of the place, and it's just going to bring like even extra attraction to wherever I'm fishing. So, and that's why I would encourage people to just go out and explore new places. I mean, sometimes it's going to be a bust, and sometimes you might find a little honey hole. You might find a really good spot that no one else fishes. So
it's going to be much more rewarding if you find it yourself. Like the places me and Aaron go, like I know you're the same way. Like some spots that I have, it's taken me years to find that spot. Like, and that means I'm always looking, and I've like trying to find a spot on maybe a certain body of water, or maybe I've gone out several times and finally found an access point, or finally found a little spot to go to, and a lot of times I get asked, I hate when people ask this, where are you fishing? I'm like, there's like that's it. Where are you fishing? Like, do you want me to tell you the exact point? Do you want me to tell you what country I'm in? Like I don't even know what you're asking. Like I like to try to tell an area. I try to post if it's in Tennessee, East Tennessee, Southeast Tennessee. If it's a big river, I'll say the name of the river, but I can tell you every name of place I go to, but you still have to put the work in to go and like finding your own spots and finding your own things. But anyways, meeting people, awesome. I love doing it. I was fishing the creek in town, and I'm fishing it's my little spot right in the middle of town where I fish all the time on Mouse Creek. And somebody stops at the stoplight. Is like, "Hey, are you Creek Fishing Adventures?" I just look at him. I was like, "Yeah." That was funny. I was like, "That's my spot right there, right in the middle of town." But what was the other one? Oh yeah. So what's the latest time of the year to go fishing for creek fishing? For me, and Aaron's probably pretty close to this. Like our area, end of November is probably when it really slows down. Like, so I've had some really good
earlier than that. I might say like October. I don't know, but
I've had some days in November that's been on fire, like in creek fishing, and it's been like cold. It'd be like 55 degrees out and dropping, but the bigger the creek too. It depends on what creek you're going to. Yeah. Now, if you are talking about the mountain streams, they shut down earlier, and they don't get going till later. Is what I've seen. Like they're a smaller window, like because and in the wintertime in the mountain streams, I can't catch anything. Yeah. I don't know what shoal bass are like. It's a little maybe I don't know, but dude, I can't catch anything out of like any kind of mountain stream early spring to like fall, like through the winter. It has to get hot and be hot. But some of the streams that I fish in Middle Tennessee, you can catch fish in some of those creeks November even into December. But they're smallmouth. They like the cold water a little bit better, and it's more stable. Yeah. So by November it's usually shutting down. But September and October, dude, it's on fire right now. Like creek fishing is probably at its best right now. If you want to go out there and do some, they're eating, they're getting hungry. They know winter time is coming. Yeah. What do you think on that?
I feel like mid-October is probably when I kind of stop creek fishing. But it really just like it's all just depends. Like it's like where do you live? That really depends. Yeah. So like, if you live in Florida, I'm like John and I did a trip last December. To North Florida, and I caught all my fish there on topwater. So it just depends. It depends on where you live, really. So
that's only a few hours away, and they were just hammering topwater stuff. Like they didn't care. The weather's so much different. But actually Mouse Creek. I hit it a lot because it's so close. I fished it in December. We had like a warm spell. You know how it'll be warm for it'll be like 60 for like 3 days in a row. I fished it like in the middle of December and caught like a ton of fish, and then like went back, and if it cooled back down, couldn't get a bite. But like that little warm spell, it just got them going, and that's what in the world? Got motorcycles flying by. That's what I've learned in the spring. Now that I do this, I'm really into it, really focused. I hit those creeks in early spring as many times as I can. If I think it's a warm day, like, all right, let me get out there. Cause it could have a week where it's warm and those fish get turned on and they'll be on fire. And then they can kind of slow that down. So April, sometimes it's cold, but I've had some of my best fishing days in early spring when they first get going. Those fish just start turning on because they get really hungry too. So November, April is when you start. I mean, you can. I've had days in March where I've caught fish. And it depends on where you are.
Yeah, the first time I ever fished a creek that I fish all the time was in mid-March, and it was like a really great day of fishing. And since then, that was in 2020. In March of last year and this year, like I've hardly caught anything out of that creek. So I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends. But that comment was making me laugh. That's some beers. I was on another live stream when he was making comments, so it was making me laugh.
Okay, what is he doing on here? I talked to him last week. You had your week last week. Get off. You ain't allowed to be on here anymore. We just got done. We that's who I camped with. We camped for the tournament, which I'll have a lot more of that. I might talk more about my tournament stuff next week also, and do some things. But here's a good one. Here's the last one. Then I got one last question for you. Wait a minute. Itching to fish. Now he calls them Kentuckies. He's a guy that he calls those Kentucky spots just Kentuckies. Spotted bass are my second favorite under smallmouth. They fart hard too. Good stuff. Yeah, but out there in Arkansas, they don't get as big. Like if you ever came out and he caught our Alabama bass, they get bigger than smallmouth. Like for the area, like I've never caught a smallmouth over 4.5 pounds, but now I've caught 2 spots over 5.
Yeah,
like 2 that were almost 5.5. You know,
but also just like there's some places like the St. Lawrence River that like the Bassmaster Elite Series goes to every year, and it's like the smallmouth there is just like giant, and it's like that'd be a really cool trip to do, like somewhere up north. Like
when I went to Michigan, I wanted to go for like big smallmouth, but there's so much more to fish. Like I like fishing lots of different things. I don't have to like really fish just one, and it was cool to fish all kinds of stuff. Next time I go up north, I want to go like really for smallmouth, but I want to catch them out of like a stream, or I want to catch them, almost out of current. I would catch them out of a lake, like the people do that, but I don't think it'd be near as fun.
Yeah, maybe do like one day on a lake and then try to find some rivers and stuff.
Okay, here Mike's Out Fishing says, "What is your favorite fishing channel to watch?" My favorite fishing channel. I don't know. I'll think about it. Do you have one? Like your favorite to watch?
If you look at the one that I've watched the most for the past like 3 years, it'd be Creek Fishing Adventures. So
hey, good answer.
I mean, I think it's Creek Fishing Adventures. I go through different phases. I don't know about y'all, but I'll go through different phases. Like I'll watch this guy for a little while, then I'll watch this guy. And I don't know. I don't watch as much fishing YouTube as I used to.
So I recently I've been watching a bunch of Greg Blanchard, because I've been getting into kayak fishing, and he's like a tournament kayak fisherman.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was till like maybe a year ago, and like he's got a good sized channel, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like I didn't even know who that was. And then I just found this other guy called what is it? He fishes ocean a lot. He's a guy about this channel about the size of mine. Also, I can't think of his name now. But anyways, it'll come to me. But he was fishing in the Keys, Florida Keys, and I watched like 20 of his videos because I'm like, I want to do that so bad. It looks so cool. Fishaholic. You ever watch him?
I don't think so.
It's mostly ocean fishing, but he fishes off the beach, and he also fishes out of a kayak in different places. So like, I find like I keep finding people. And I'm like, how have I not found this guy before? I never had a guy I really liked that's why I started my channel. I never really found anybody I really liked. So I kind of just wanted to do my own thing. Yeah. But my inspiration always came from river monsters. I just love the exploration. Like he would go into these places and just, I didn't care how big a fish he was. Like I didn't care about that part. I liked more of like exploring and going places to find certain ones. So Aaron, what is your favorite color of the Chapo? What do you?
Yeah,
what do you like
I saw that. I was
good.
I would say just like you can't really go wrong with the bone color. I mean, it's just like pretty much a white color. I know some people say like I think if it's cloudy outside, black, like an all black is supposed to be better. So I would say, I mean, my favorite is just like the bone color. If you watch John's latest video, I think it's your latest video.
Yeah.
Where he won the kayak tournament, like he caught some on the bone color.
That one is the 7. Was it? No, was it 75? What's their one? That's
I think you were using the 75.
It's their
like
newer.
Shorter. Yeah, shorter and fatter. That's it's like 75.
Do you have those? Is that what you use, or do you use a 90 mostly?
I use I kind of just alternate between a 75 and a 90 for the most
Now that
part.
I've been trying that 75, like, dude, that's my favorite one to use now.
Yeah.
I
That
love
is what
the
I
size
caught.
of it,
Yeah, I
that
caught
big one.
that big largemouth on in Florida, a 5 pound,
Oh,
2
was it?
ounce. Yeah, that was a giant. That fish had a giant head on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I was
That
so
was
nervous.
so that was so random. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Um,
that was one of those fish that I was praying that John would be able to net and would come off, and he did. So
it's like, I got a giant. I got a giant.
yeah, I kind of freaked out.
Let me
Like
go see
watching
what he's got.
John's.
I didn't think it was a big. I was like,
Yeah,
let's go see what he's got. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
John is very calm and like I'll be watching. You have like a big fish on. You're just like casually reeling it in. I'm like, dude, and it'll be like next to the boat while you like
Calm
get
on
the
the
net
outside.
out. I'm like, dude, I would be getting out of the boat. Some people
Yeah.
do comment in my videos like I'll just swing a fish into my boat, kind of like near my legs with a chopo, and it'll flop around. And they're like, you're gonna get hooked, and they're probably do have a good point, but
Yeah.
I'm always just worried.
What did you catch? Your last video, you caught the big. Was it the 2 pound spot, or
Oh
what did
yeah,
you catch? Two
I caught a
2 pound
couple.
spots.
Yeah, 2 pound spots out of a creek that I mean I caught like a handful of 2 pounders out of before, but not on the same day. So that was the whopper flopper.
That's the thing. That's the kind of fish I'm talking about. Like they get big, that's a big fish for that stream you were fishing.
Yeah,
in.
that's a really
Like
good fish.
That's really, and that was that was whopper flopper. You were trying to.
Yeah,
that's right.
I tried to go back to the whopper flopper, just do a video on it, but
oh yeah,
someone said indie yak angler.
Yeah.
That's a channel that can be fun to watch. I think the last video I watched of his was he was fishing some spillway with a big whopper plopper, and he was catching like a bunch of muskie and some smallmouth, which is just no one catches muskie that easily. Like that was crazy.
That's I used to watch him a lot. I kind of haven't watched as much, but I do like watching him. And I hate when people compare. Whenever they see me fish for bass, they're like, "Oh, you catch little smallmouth. Indiac angler catches giants." I'm like,
yeah, fishing.
He lives in a lot different area than I live.
Fishing is so relative to where you are fishing. Like the location can totally change fishing. Like somebody might say, "Oh, I catch 10 pounders all the time." It's like I fish a private stocked pond that has giant bass or whatever. But if you're fishing, like it just depends on where you're fishing. Like
that's like my buddies in Knoxville, hour and a half away. They never catch spotted bass. They'll never catch. There's none up there. And they're like, "How do you catch all these spots?" I'm like, "Because they're here. That's why I catch big ones. Because where I'm at, they grow really big and they're right here. And that's how fishing is. And they're like, "Well, how do you fish so many clear streams?" Like, because I live right by the mountains, so you can see the hills right there, and there's all these streams, kind of hills that have lots of different options to fish. But all right, how do you fish the cricket? Oh, the crick hopper?
Probably talking about crick hopper.
I don't. I just use it by itself. I like to use 4 pound mono. I've done it a little bit on braid, but it's the hooks are so small you'll jerk it out.
The crick hopper can be in my opinion, the crick hopper can be a very frustrating lure to fish with. I've had so many days where like I'll throw it into some creek that's kind of slower moving, and like I'll have some fish just constantly hitting it, and it's really, really hard for them to get hooked.
Yeah, it is. It's the most fun, but it can be if you're trying to land it. It's the most frustrating. It's like it's just topwater fishing on like a micro level, and everything hits the crick hopper. Like you throw it in. That's why I think it's so interesting. But I've kind of now that if I'm going to catch fish, I'll just go with like a trout magnet or something because that kind of it gets better hookups. But if I just want to go out there and just have some fun,
like if you want to have fun. It's
the
hard
way
to beat
they hit
topwater.
that crick hopper is hilarious. It always cracks me up, and especially right now. Right now is the time. Like they say, topwater time. I guess that's why I tried those frogs. It's a little Spro frog. It's like that big. Have you seen those?
Really? Is it soft plastic?
Yeah, they're tiny.
Wait, it's a popper or a?
It's a popper frog, soft plastic.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like the booyah the popping frog.
I do have a at the Bassmaster Classic, I got a little Spro rat for free, and it's like really small. Like I kind of want to try it out.
Oh, dude, that sounds cool.
It's like a quarter of an ounce. Like it's teeny, but I think
well,
it'd be a
I
good
took this out today, and I caught 2 largemouth, but I had like 7 or 8 hits that I thought I just like yanked, and it was like either a red breast or like a little Coosa bass, or a little largemouth. They were just like hammering it.
Yeah.
but they were so small. But okay. Anyways, last question for Aaron, and then we're gonna shut her down. Shut her down here. So this is what my question I've asked everybody right now. So if you didn't have to worry about money, if you didn't have to worry about money or time or anything like that, what would be your ultimate fishing trip that you would be like, all right, I'm doing this. I got stacks on stacks, got tons of money. I got all the time in the world.
Oh gosh.
I can pick any time of the year. I can go anywhere I want. Maybe a certain species. Catch any kind of species you want.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people like I just love bass fishing, so I don't know if I would go like to some crazy exotic place. John texted me this question before the live stream, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say, but I mean I've always wanted to like go up north for smallmouth, somewhere where you can just easily catch like a bunch of smallmouth.
Go fish with Indiac angler.
Yeah. Yeah, like somewhere like
basically
that.
That is like the dream smallmouth place. Like
that is
places
really
like
cool.
that is like as good as it gets. Yeah. Someone said, "I'm gonna watch if you try the rat." Oh yeah.
I did. Well, I did actually I caught like 3 shoal bass on a rat this week, a bigger rat, but I do want to try the small rat too.
You know that place up on the Hiwassee that you went to? I took you up there, like way out of the way. You caught your biggest spot at the time.
Oh yeah,
up there.
Yeah.
Like, what if you could just spend a week fishing all that? Like,
oh gosh,
that would be insane. But like, it's so hard to get there and like do it.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things I think of. Like, if I could just spend a week fishing here, I would probably break my PBs in like all these species. Like, because they're in there. It just takes work and time. But anyways, all right. Any last things to say? What's your plans for the rest of this year? Got any plans for winter fishing or anything?
I think we should go to North Florida again. That's after I'm done with classes.
Yeah.
After finals, I want to do something. Yeah.
If our Christmas break lines up again, I'm definitely could be in for that because I'm definitely going to go to South Florida again.
Yeah.
I don't
know if I'll make it down to South Florida. We'll
yeah. So we went last year, and I left Aaron, went further south, stopped at this random ditch, and caught all these bass on topwater. I'm like, if Aaron had come, he would. But it was just like a random spot, and they were exploding on it. I was like, this is insane. But then I went down.
I was going to say there's another river. I'm going to send it to you after this, but it's like the river.
Maybe we should just try a different place, sort of like similar to what we did, and just like hit different ones. There's all those different ones in the same area.
Yeah. For swine
that actually would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going the same river, but then also like another day going. I don't know. Yeah. We'll plan this trip, but we'll
do, I definitely got to go hit that area, either that river or a river real similar to that, just because you can catch fish, and there's lots of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And but Aaron, I appreciate you coming on. I've told Aaron I wanted to do the live stream and have him on for like 2 years. Now I finally started my second channel here, and we're gonna try to do I don't know if we can do it every week or not. I don't know why I cough. I always cough. I can't get rid of it. I think it's like an allergy thing now that I've gotten old. I can't get rid of this cough. But we talked about a lot of different stuff. YouTube channel, almost over 5,000 subscribers. Trying to put out videos. You plan to just keep it going? I mean, as far as like videos, just what you can get out.
Yeah,
I know you notice the difference when you can do 2 a week from 1 a week, and like it's crazy the difference, like the views and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't have the time right now to make 2 videos a week, but
got priorities.
Yeah.
You got to get the college done.
Yeah.
Can't skip on that. But anyway, hey, appreciate you being on here. Thanks for everybody. Aaron, hang on for a second, and I'll close this out. But appreciate everybody coming on.
It was fun coming on here and joining John. So
if you don't know, Aaron's Outdoors, and we've been fishing together for 3 years. lots of different places, lots of awesome trips. We plan to do a lot more. So I want to sign off and turn this off. Thanks for watching.